Hello guys, and welcome to a new WARNO video today by me, Vulcan. In this one I have for you a 4 versus 4 on rocks, and I'm going to be playing with the new Jyske division, which is a new Danish division available in the Landjet DLC. As you can see, the game is underway, and it seems that Luckiest has one of his F-15s out from his 101st division, and our opponent's Commissar has the T-10 out, which is a very, very cool looking aircraft. Look at that. Very nice, it's like a prototype. And then the MiG-23 MLD there, hanging about. Let's just go through the units that I've got down. So, multiple special forces leading the charge. We've got the Jyske. They have the special forces shock trait and they're airborne, so they can deploy very far forwards. We've also got the SEP-VLK, which have the special forces airborne and then GSR trait. So these are our recon special forces. And the GSR trait allows them to get up to exceptional optics when they're stationary. We've also got an ITO, a couple ITOs for long range anti-tank. Then we've got the Lado Commando to contest this sector early on, a couple of IHawks to deal with enemy aircraft, and then a bunch of troops back here. So we've got the Panzer Vernskirte, hopefully somewhat correct in that pronunciation. I tried. And then we've got the M13A2s, which have the 25mm autocannons and the Centurion Mark 5s, and also a mortar there as well to help us make some ground with smoke potentially. Now I really wanted to show you this game today because it was just a really good back and forth, a really fun fight with some really fun moments, so look out for those. So our troops now coming to the front line. The special forces kind of secured the 50 for us, the 50-50 across the map. And now we're dealing with Commissar's towed weapons. So he's got a 100mm firing away and popping both of my M113s very quickly. There's also the 130mm, which is actually an AA piece. Very good for taking down aircraft. But the Centurions getting on target. They have the 12 round per minute rate of fire, so they're able to hit those pretty nicely. MiG-21 comes in with the Napalm, so does the Su-22 with the HE. My IHawks pop both of them, so really, really good start for us, taking out some of those important strike aircraft. Centurion struggling to finish off those towed weapons. Eventually get the job done. The issue that I had there was they were on an attack move order. In those situations, what you really want to do is, especially when a tank has high rate of fire, you want it to sometimes focus one unit by right-clicking the unit as opposed to just leaving them on attack move, because otherwise what can happen is they will keep changing target between two units based on their cohesion. So it would have been better for me if I wanted to kill those quickly to focus probably the AT gun and then the AA afterwards. And the Spesialsafkader here is going to be spotting my poor Jyske, so they're going to have to fall back. And I realised it probably wasn't much point in me trying to hide these in the trees here because they only have good stealth, so Recon's going to spot them pretty easy, whereas at least my SEP-VLK, they've got exceptional stealth, so they're going to be a lot harder to find for the enemy as they sort of hang out in that tree line with their big backpacks on. My 24s do come forwards. The IHawks are out of ammo though, so it's going to be a matter of waiting for supply. F-16s brought in with the two Mavericks. Was really hoping to pop one of the vehicles I saw out in the open, but alas, we're taken down by an AA piece from the 157th, I would assume. Okay, double Jyske here. Gonna make short work of the Reserve Razvedka. And they do have the Ochrana there. This is a perfect engagement at close range for the special forces. Take them out nice and easy. Ochrana also going to take some damage, but I don't want to keep getting shot up by the 130, so we're going to fall back. It was at this moment that I realized I need to respect the enemy artillery, so we're going to have to load up my IHawks after they fire so they don't get killed by artillery. Black Hawk from Luckiest has managed to get right through to the backside to the fob there. Centurions on the way. More of these Centurion Mark 5s. We've also got the M113 coming in. And the idea of the M113 is they're super cheap, they're like 45 points. So I'm going to be bringing that in to hang out with the Eyehawks, to give them that extra veterancy. Because by default, the Eyehawk has 65% accuracy. Or at least it does now because it has 2 veterancy. If I bring the leader to it, it's going to have 3 veterancy. And then it's going to be 70% accuracy. So really, really worth having leaders next to your artillery, next to your AA, basically next to everything if you can. Obviously in some decks you are going to be limited to the amount of command you can bring, or at least the amount of effective command you can bring. Another one here, for example, was coming in to sit with this Eyehawk that is now just smoke. I've got some of the man pads on the way as well. We don't want to have to worry about those Mi-24s too much. So bringing those in and just sort of building up a group of tanks here that's going to be able to help push to the far side of Delta, because we don't want to be stuck on this 50-50 for the whole game. This is one reason that I really like this map though. It is a little bit unbalanced because I think like on the side where Luckiest and Nero are, it's much easier for the red side to contest a +1 on Echo. But the rest of the map is pretty fun. Like at Alpha, it's always a 50-50, Deltas is always 50-50, and then Bravo Foxtrot's always like a bit of a standoff. Usually most of the action happens over on this left side of the map at Echo, and sometimes in Delta. So it's a really fun game because it lasts for a long time, and you end up getting to those points where the battles can be very, very epic. Both sides just trying to break each other down at the moment. Phantom's hanging out to prevent enemy aircraft from making a move. We've got Sigma moving up in the middle, trying to sort out a force that can potentially push across, and Silver Raptor on the right flank is just heading off against Ghost. So it's only a matter of time till I've built up my force to push, and you can see that the Centurions here were trying to push forwards, but ended up having to smoke off and fall back as the 130 and the T-55 started engaging. Because these T-55s, they do have those Bastion 80 gems with the 2,800 meter range and the 65% accuracy, 18 pen. Not a fun time for the front armor of a Centurion Mark V, so gotta respect it. Let the Ido maybe get some damage onto the T-55s before we can make a solid push. But another good kill onto the aircraft there. Continuing to shoot those down means that they're not going to be as much of an issue when we actually come to push. We've also got the M109s arriving, and those are going to be firing at the last known position of the FOB to try and help take that out. AA is now in position to help shoot down enemy helicopters, so we're going to be able to prevent them from being a problem. More troops are going to be on the way, so we've got 2 more Centurion Mark Vs, we've got a couple of those 25mm M113s, we've got 2 of the Toad guns coming in as well, a couple more 203mm artillery. It's all with the hope that we can eventually push forwards with a nice combined arms force. Big push would be nice. MiG-21 getting shot down in the meantime though by the Eyehawks, really good for us. And you see that I did load these back up. I do need to unload that of course at some point. Marcus meanwhile making a little bit of ground here against Nero. It was lucky that Nero wasn't contesting this, because otherwise they'd be pushing that +1 throughout the game. But making sure to move the M109s as soon as they fire. So trying to blow up that FOB. I think in the end we were kind of given the wrong info there. Usually you can see when a FOB's blown up. We're just waiting for the reinforcements to arrive. Again, when you're pushing across the open like this, you really do need to like chip away at the enemy, bring in a couple airstrikes, bring in a bit of artillery, and then you just make that play all at once with a big, nice combined push. And sometimes it can be shut down by enemy aircraft or artillery, but there are most times where it can like actually break through if you do it properly. So that's kind of what I'm counting on. I'm also counting on these poor red eyes hitting the mark, which really isn't happening at the moment. A good kill from the Centurion there, managed to take out an IS-2. Commissar's 157 does have the old school IS-2s, and they can be pretty scary. You can see the damage that my Centurion Mark 5s took. But if I can trade units without losing my own, that is going to eventually lead to a disparity that we're going to be able to use to push forwards. Ito getting some free shots in there, which is nice. Lowering the cohesion of those tanks is super important. Here comes the next wave though. And the other thing I'm going to need is obviously supply, so we're going to have that coming in as well. MD Jupiter on the way. Hawk still looking for kills, another Su-22 taken out. Seed aircraft going to be chased down by the Phantoms of Silver Raptor Sigma. Fortunately, 2 of those Phantoms getting shot down, and I'm going to catch a big napalm strike at probably the worst moment. A reinforcements just arrived, and the Centurions are like half health, so they're taking a lot of damage. Their cohesion's really low, so they're barely able to move. I end up losing a Centurion Mark 5 that just came in, as well as one of the M13s. These ones are still popping all over the place. A bunch of infantry died. That was a really bad time for us. Nasty, nasty napalm strike. Artillery is already firing away towards that artillery, so if it hasn't packed up in time, there's a good chance that will go down. And now I need to do it all over again, so I just gotta build up the forces, maybe not keep them so concentrated the second time around, because we know that that napalm is going to be pretty scary. Although the napalm artillery does take a long time to reload now, so you do have much more time between strikes like this to make ground. The next wave of Centurions is here, and I know that because I'm up against the 157th, the enemy armor quality is not going to be that high either. So that's why I'm really like counting on these Centurion Mark 5s to do the job. If I was up against like a heavy tank division, like the 119th or something, then we'd be in big trouble because these Centurions would just get popped so easy. But when you're playing against these sort of more infantry-focused divisions, the Centurion Mark 5s work so well. And as you saw there, another nice kill for the Hawk as we take down that aircraft. And these should be moving every time they fire, but occasionally I was just being lazy in this game. Nice kill though for the nice hits, I would say, for the Leopard 1Vs here. These have 2,100 meter range, 55% accurate. This is from the Dutch forces. Trying to get my recon a little bit further forwards here to find some more information. The 113 is going to have to move. It's currently being hit. That's where like one of my Hawks fired from previously. So it's taking shots now from the enemy artillery and ends up killing that leader that I'd left behind. Another counter battery coming in here onto the 203. Lucky that that didn't hit the mark I either. Using artillery with the artillery rework is pretty difficult, but this one was recorded before they made some of the adjustments. So whilst it is still easier to counter battery stuff now, it's less punishing than it was before when you use full salvos, I would say. Counter battery already going in there. My recon getting caught out in the open. Fortunately for me, the Spezia were on hold fire, so they weren't actually engaging my troops as they try and run away, but we are now taking shots from the tanks because out in the open they are being spotted. Here comes my own artillery trying to take out that recon unit and open up the way really for us to start pushing and not having to worry about being spotted, like prematurely at least. And as soon as they're finished firing, make sure they move. Got the Bedford here using the fob to pick up some more supply, and that will head back to the front. And we're also going to be bringing in more Centurions again. Also going to be getting this Fennec in position, so that's nice. But after that napalm come down onto the tree line here, Looks like Commissar maybe wanted to make a little bit of a push, but the Apache ATGM from Luckiest really hitting nicely. Takes out the IS-2, takes out the T-55 here as well. Pretty good stuff. Now I'm going to be looking for some counter battery of my own. Manual counter battery, that is. You can see that these vehicles are going to get mixed up, and then they'll be able to join the push. Now, as I mentioned before, we got a little bit of time here to spare before the next napalm comes in, so I'm not too concerned about these being blocked up. The first time I probably should have been, but I didn't expect us to be hit by the napalm because Commissar was playing opposite us, and Nero's the one with the napalm. So if anything, you'd expect it to land maybe on Luckiest, but that's not the way team games work, obviously. But yeah, alas, that's what you assume most of the time. It's a cool little helicopter with those SO2s ready. 25 pen, 2,625 meter range. If anything pushes up, we're going to have shots on target, which will be nice. Cheeky little Raven coming out with its E-War. Krugs almost hitting the mark there, and that's going to be floating around to provide the negative modifier onto those Krugs. Bombs coming in from the F-111s. Not going to be doing too much. These bombing strikes, unfortunately, because the bombing isn't very dense, like it comes in a long line like that, don't actually do all that much damage. Bit of a shame. I like all these Leopards now coming in. So these are Leopard 1A5s. They have the 2,275 meter range with the 16% penetration, 70% accuracy with the veterancy. That's really, really nasty for Commissar's forces. So that's why I'm bringing them in. I'm also going to be bringing in plenty of recon, as you can see, just to spread out amongst all of these tree lines. Just give myself a good amount of information about what I'm going to push into. I do need to hurry up. I need to get these Leopards into position so that they can engage before more rocket artillery starts landing on my head. So it's all just a matter of preparation at the moment. A little bit of a skirmish here and there across the map. Silver and Ghost staring at each other. Sigma just covering the center but helping me otherwise. And then Luckiest having his own engagement over on the left. With a little bit of flanking action going on, trying to sneak another Black Hawk around there, for example. Leopard 2A4 getting hit by some of those ATGMs. Not ideal. You can see here me starting to set the move order up so that we can make this push. Now this front is not very big, so there is a risk here. And with a bunch of IS-2s coming across this bridge, I am going to have to respect it. These still have 15 penetration at 1,900 meters, so the 9 front armor of the Leopard's still going to be easy to crack with those IS-2s. I was thinking if Commissar's going to make a push here, it would be good if my Leopards could be on the defensive first. We're going to move forwards and we'll just let those engage. Take out as much as we can. If anything takes damage, we can fall back. Another MiG-21 has been taken out in the meantime anyway. The smoke's going to land soon, and then the infantry can also push up the road. So IS-2's being popped left, right and centre. T-55's also in trouble. Here comes the smoke. And now we're going to be pushing. Also got artillery coming in onto that tank at the same time. So a nice engagement, moving forwards here, beautiful stuff. Leopards, Centurions pushing hard into the pack lines. Mi-8 TV dropping rockets on my head. It's going to force some of my tanks back. But the infantry is going to follow up through the smoke on the right flank. Hopefully hold us some ground. First one does get popped though by enemy AT. Second one almost the same. Anytime a tank is getting low on HP, it's falling back, we'll get it fixed up and we can try again. another time. But the rest of the Centurions going to continue to push forward. The Jaeger getting caught out in the open here. Panzer Infantry did manage to get in here, and that's going to be nice. They're going to be joined by the Panzerspeeder. We'll be able to take some ground. F-111s being thrown into the mix as they engage the infantry that would have been dropped out of the BTRs. Also still making sure to move up the man-pads, and needed to get this one forwards as well. Some of the remaining Centurions struggling to continue the push, especially with the helicopters on the left flank there. HGM in the side finishes one, and the rockets and shots should finish to the other. At least one of the MO-24s went down. Rockets everywhere here from so many helicopters from Eagle. Really not helpful. Big bombs coming in there from the F-16, 900 kilogram bombs. Really quite scary. You can see like the explosion radius that they leave. But use that to take out some of the nasty tanks, particularly the ones with the HGMs. I really need to get rid of. Now my red eye trying its best to get some more shots on target, but just kept missing. Finally managed to get a shot there. Like, even with the two veterans here, it's still only 50% accurate, so just a coin flip every time you're firing there. More are on the way, but a little bit too late. The helicopter support from Eagle really did stall my attack big time. Not only because it was killing things, but also because it was lowering the cohesion of my tanks. So we weren't able to effectively engage a lot of the enemy tanks, and that left me with a lot of damage as we started soaking shots. Alas, we can do it again. We have troops ready to go that have been fixed up. The MD Jupiters are in position. We now have man-pads in position as well for second time round. It's like, first time round we got countered by the artillery, second time round we got countered by the helicopters, but now we've got the man-pads, and I guess I'm not really spreading out that much, but at the moment there's not so much to lose. Anyway, MI8 goes down, finally the man-pads start hitting, a couple of tanks get picked off by mine as well, so it's good stuff. We're starting to really break down the enemy defenses. This was still just being allowed to fire away, and all the while I am bringing up more and more reinforcements. The artillery is also still firing away. Strela there, for example, going to be the next target. Any of these tanks we're going to hit with some artillery as well if they're standing still. The whole idea being that we'll lower the cohesion, make it easier to engage them later on. Now, our opponents did manage to sneak a leader into the corner of the sector briefly to get the +2 there, but that was taken out as it wasn't supported. Still trying to get off the MI-24, but you can see how bad these red eyes can really be sometimes. So another E-War Raven coming in, bombs away, takes out the OSA. Good bombing strike. I was really hoping that Luckiest would use these to help me take out the Crooks as well, but I could never quite time it with my own F-16s, because if I can have like 2 of his E-War planes flying over the Crooks and the Crooks get turned on, then I can just directly attack the Crooks with the HE bomber and we can just destroy them very quickly. Because Commissar really likes to keep his Crooks all together next to a commander and then just move them around whenever they fire. But if you can spot them like before they fire or while they're firing and then hit them with a bomber, it's like probably the biggest weakness that he has with those. But yeah, the Crooks, needing no introduction, do manage to shoot down an F-16 with a direct hit. Another MiG-27 goes down for our opponents. Now meanwhile, Luckiest pulling off the most insane move I've seen in a while. Chinook has managed to sneak round the edge of the map and found Nero's Malkas. And he's just going to unload the Aero Scouts with the GSR. next to the Malkas and kill them both with the M72 laws. He's also found the Smersh next to the Felddepot, so he's going to be going on a hunt for those. Absolute hero play there in the backside to remove some of that deadly artillery. Hamlet still trying its best to engage the Mi-8 TV. All the while, another convoy of armor is on its way. The more of these M113s with the 25 mils, and then also the Centurions there. And this is just going to create a big push that we can smash through Commissar with, because we've already destroyed probably a lot of Commissar's tanks. A lot of those IS-2s got taken out, a lot of the stronger T-55s have been taken care of as well. So I was hoping that we could continue to overwhelm his forces with our slightly superior tanks. Big attack coming in here with the Resvisti, gets cooled off as it bumps into some resistance from our tanks. Raven out and about once again, spotting the Krugs for us, but yeah, check out the Aero Scouts here getting on top of the Smerch. Take out one of them, second one getting destroyed by light arms fire. It's not something you see very often in the back line. Artillery all over the place. Mortars have been set up and they're ready to provide some smoke for the next push. And it's good that the Resvisti have already come in and unloaded, as it will sort of slow them down a lot. And that means we can kind of keep our range with our tanks and our autocannons to kill them off. So the tanks here, they're starting to make a bit of a move. Centurion moving forwards. Both the Smersh and the Fob have been destroyed now on the backside, so that was good. Another Su-22 getting shot down. The Seed aircraft actually getting taken out. But here we go. So, Leopard 185s following up the Centurion Mark V. Fortunately, the timing of this was really bad. You see the enemy artillery hitting my Leopards really hard there. Again, not so much a problem for the damage, more of a problem of cohesion, because it just brings down the accuracy of these so much. Look at that, 32% accuracy. Really bad. Meanwhile, those T-64s still have 55% accuracy. And those have pretty decent rate of fire, it's 10 rounds per minute. The Eagle coming up here to help Commissar with his armoured support. And that's a problem for us, because I was talking about it earlier. The quality of our tanks is enough to beat the 157th. But as soon as you start adding something that's a bit heavier into the mix, like this T-64 AV with its 11 HP and 2,100 meter gun, then these Centurion Mark Vs really start to struggle, because you have to get so much closer with the 14 pen to be able to penetrate the 16 front armor of the T-64 and do any damage. Fortunately, numbers is coming in handy here as we take out both of the T-64s on the left side, but the two on the right are still able to continue the crossfire and have started to break down some of the infantry. T-72s are now arriving from Eagle as well. I'm hoping that my fire rate can just carry me through this engagement. It all comes down to stress at the end of the day. If I can continue to hit the enemy, and their stress will be higher, meaning that they'll reload slower, particularly in the case of any weapons that don't have autoloaders. In this case, the T-72s, they reload the same no matter what because of their autoloader. But the cohesion at least will make them less likely to hit. We do manage to take down one T-72, but you can see that my entire force here was just slowly but surely cut down. And the 80 gems from the helicopter here really kind of struggling to hit the mark as well. So again, just a really solid back and forth fight in the center of this map, which is exactly why I wanted to share this replay, as well as the really cool airdrop by Luckiest into the backline. A solid drop there with the Chinook and those Aero Scouts to take out those units. Number 24 from Eagle trying to flank around the backside. Does get spotted by the Raven there, so we're well aware of that coming. But ultimately, There is a big push coming through here. T-72s, T-55s, rocket helicopter, IS-2s in there, all trying to push us out. I did manage to reload the 80 gems on this helicopter, and we actually managed to pop the T-64, so that was a really big kill. That was the T-64 leader. I was really hoping it was the last leader of this sector. You can see that Eagle did eventually start contesting this sector with the Reservistenführer in the corner, and that was pushing a +1 in their favor a little bit more. T-10 coming in here trying to take down the F-16. I am going to get away with that one. But here comes some F-16s with the cluster. Nice hits there onto the enemy tanks. T-72, T-55s going down. F-111 did get taken out, but so did the T-10, so another crazy air engagement. Luckiest though, making ground. Eagle being forced to bail him out. Bail out Nero with the T-64s. You might be wondering why I'm using a Centurion leader here on the front line, but that's pretty much all I had that was healthy. I do have more leaders further back, so I've got Laura Commando, which is just capping the sector. We got the M113 that's assisting the Eyehawk, so it doesn't matter if this dies. Got the M41s now. Danish M41s blasting away. Trying to cut them down. These things are very weak. They only have 4 front armor, so they get popped very easily, but they do have a good gun. 65% accuracy, 2,100 meter range with 13 round per minute rate of fire there with that extra veterancy. Also, you can see that the Fennec's still doing its job with those 80 gems, just taking out any armored targets that they can. The Centurion gonna have to take out these 100mm guns, because those are going to be a real pain for me to deal with. The thing is with these is they're just cheap and spammable, so, and they're basically not going to die in like a couple shots or even one shot to any tanks. So you've got to kill them with HE mostly. And that takes ages for some tanks, particularly something like an M41. It probably has like 0.76 HE damage, whilst the gun itself has like 3 health, right? So it takes a while for tanks to take out those AT guns sometimes. More infantry on the way though to continue this engagement, but Luckiest leveraging his advantage here to continue the pressure towards Hotel. Hopefully we can turn things around soon. Silver Raptor also doing a nice job on the right hand side, has built up a force that he's using to try and pressure the far side of Alpha. The remainder of my forces coming in, looking for a big push up these buildings, so we're just going to unload all of my M13s here, and my Danish forces can push through these buildings once again, and we'll bring up any armor and such to the left side to cover them off there. Yeah, great move by Luckiest, gets into the far sector, took out the enemy's FOB and artillery. Really like MVP of this game, to be honest. Managing to do a lot of damage to Nero. Nice Su-25 rocket strike actually there from Commissar. The mix of S-13 and S-8 rockets makes short work of one of those tanks. The M1IP Abrams even manages to take out a second with those as well, which is great value because each of those aircraft is 175 points and those tanks are over 200. So really good stuff from our opponent. The Leopard 105s are continuing to help the push here, and you can see that there doesn't seem to be all that much left. Also, I can see the Krugs, so we're going in for the F-16 kills. Drop in the cluster, and wha-bam! One of the F-16s get killed, but the first one gets through with its cluster strike, and those Krugs are devastated, which is really nice because it's going to open up to more F-16 airstrikes and allow us to break down any particularly hard tanks for us to kill. The infantry still making ground. I'm now being backed up by all of the Leopards of Sigma. So 105's pushing up here, 25 mils pushing hard, and it looks like that breakthrough has finally come. A lot of the points that were put into the air assets of our opponents have been dealt with. The disparity on the ground has just become too much, and now we're able to really just get right into their backline, bumping into a lot of their AA and other such stuff, as probably Eagles, tanks have run dry, Commissars on the last of his T-55s. Things are going to go well. A very attritional but very fun battle here. Also got the Fennec there with the Toad 2 that's been helping a lot. Just a big push coming through, and we're going to eventually cap this Delta sector as well. That's going to push us to the +2 because Silver, as I mentioned earlier, managed to clean out Alpha, so another really good job there. Yeah, Luckiest just needs to get another leader into Hotel, and we'll be contesting that. And things are really just starting to fall apart completely for our opponents. Big push actually coming in. More of these T-55s with the Bastions arriving. Absolutely smashing some of those tanks to pieces, but my Panzer infantry do have the Carl Gustav M2, so you can't just like charge into these tree lines. Also going to be having a cluster coming in here from Sigma, and oh, massive strike there onto the T-55s. Beautiful stuff. Big mistake from Commissar. The majority of the remainder of his tanks just got destroyed in one go. Another +3 coming through as Luckiest moved into that sector. Nighthawks are now being moved up to get into better positions. M41s will join us shortly to keep engaging the enemy from a distance. And with 3 minutes left on the clock. Yeah. Whilst the start of this game was pretty slow, it certainly sped up. And now it's a matter of, can we get ahead on score in 3 minutes? Because at the moment, the enemy's still 100 points ahead of us in terms of conquest score. But a +3 is pretty good. Soon to be a +4 if Luckiest manages to clean this out. And that should hopefully solidify a victory with this division. I found it very difficult to get good games with the Danish division, at least cleaner games with the Danish divisions, because the quality of your units is just not quite up to scratch, especially if your opponents are using like very high quality divisions. But I tell you one thing, the Danish have a decent amount of numbers in their divisions, and you can really overwhelm your opponents over time if you manage to pick off some of their important assets, which is what kind of happened throughout this game. You know, we kind of broke down the important T-64s that came back at us. We've shot down a lot of the aircraft, and those things in particular are very good for dealing with like large amounts of units. We've also been counter-battering. We had the nice flank here onto the Malkas and the Smersh, which was a huge help, because imagine I was doing a big sort of tank push here and those two Smershes just absolutely deleted it. It could have happened, right? So there's so many things that came together in this game to allow us to finish the job, and that's what I think was most like impressive about this game. It was really, really good fun. A final push from Silver Raptor through the center of the map here. Gonna secure us Foxtrot as well, and yeah, the enemy team just in tatters at the end of this one after what was a very, very fun back and forth. But you can see how things just break at some point in the game, and yeah, it's really satisfying to see, and hopefully satisfying to watch. Phantoms with their Sky Flash trying to engage the Su-15s. Su-15s, very cool aircraft. The Phantoms in the right position there to take those down. I've also got my own F-16s coming in. They're actually going for a strafe onto the BM-24 that's trying to escape the little rocket launcher there with no armor. Just hoping to strafe that to pieces. The last 20 seconds on the clock. Lucky is holding back as much as he can here. I'm still reinforcing with more stuff, more Panzerschmiede. I've got the HGMs coming in. We got the engineers with the Carl Gustavs. AT plane, cluster planes. The cluster's going to go for the T-55. We've got the AT coming in from the F-16 on the right. Unfortunately, don't kill the Jeep, but it's still victory after the full 40 minutes of gameplay. Really, really cool game. Silver absolutely smashing it on the right flank with the first cav. This division is so good. I really like the first cav. I need to do some videos of that one. The CLKA doing really well as well. Sigma helping me out a lot. Me struggling to get good KD out of the Jyske. Unluckiest, again, fantastic job. Really nice flank. Like overall, it was a really fun game, and my teammates just really impressed me in this one. So yeah, solid stuff. And really, really fun game with this division. In terms of kills, my Hawks were absolutely eating, and my artillery was actually fantastic as well. We got double Bereg kill there, nice counter battery. Some of the Leopard 185s did well. Really good double kill onto the Krugs. Decent recon usage. This helicopter was really helping break down a lot of those pushes and taking out some of the less important targets for us. Yeah, everything came together in the end. Fantastic game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.